Page 10. At once she was going to like Miss Binny. "Goodbye, Ramona," said Mrs. Quimby. "Be a good girl." As she watched her mother walk out the door, Ramona decided school was going to be even better than she had hoped. Nobody had told her she was going to get a present the very first day. What kind of present could it be? She wondered, trying to remember if Beezus had ever been given a present by her teacher. Ramona listened carefully while Miss Binny showed Howie to a table, but all her teacher said was, "Howie, I would like you to sit here." "Well," thought Ramona, "not everyone is going to get a present, so Miss Binny must like me best." Ramona watched and listened as the other boys and girls arrived, but Miss Binny did not tell anyone else he was going to get a present if he sat in a certain chair. Ramona wondered if her present would be wrapped in fancy paper and tied with a ribbon, like a birthday present. She hoped so. As Ramona sat waiting for her present, she watched the other children being introduced to Miss Binny by their mothers. She found two members of the morning kindergarten especially interesting. One was a boy named Davy, who was small, thin, and eager. He was the only boy in class in short pants, and Ramona liked him at once. She liked him so much she decided she would like to kiss him. The other interesting person was a big girl named Susan. Susan's hair looked like the hair on the girls in the pictures of the old-fashioned stories Beezus likes to read. It was reddish-brown and hung in curls like springs that touched her shoulders and bounced as she walked. Ramona had never seen such curls before. All the curly-haired girls she knew wore their hair short. Ramona put her hand to her own short, straight hair, which was an ordinary brown, and longed to touch that bright, springy hair. She longed to stretch one of those curls and watch it spring back. "Boing," thought Ramona, making a mental noise like a spring on a television cartoon, and wishing for thick, springy, boing, boing hair like Susan's. Howie interrupted Ramona's admiration of Susan's hair. "How soon do you think we get to go out and play?" he asked. "Maybe after Miss Binny gives me the present," Ramona answered. "She said she was going to give me one." "How come she's going to give you a present?" Howie wanted to know. "She didn't say anything about giving me a present." "Maybe she likes me best," said Ramona. This news did not make Howie happy. He turned to the next boy and said, "She's going to get a present." Ramona wondered how long she would have to sit there to get the present. If only Miss Binny understood how hard waiting was for her. When the last child had been welcomed and the last tearful mother had departed, Miss Binny gave a little talk about the rules of kindergarten and showed the class the door that led to the bathroom. Next, she assigned each person a little cupboard. Ramona's cupboard had a picture of a yellow duck on the door, and Howie's had a green frog. Miss Binny explained that their hooks in the cloakroom were marked with their same pictures. Then she asked the class to follow her quietly into the cloakroom to find their hooks. Difficult though waiting was for her, Ramona did not budge. Miss Binny had not told her to get up and go into the cloakroom for her present. She had told her to sit for the present, and Ramona was going to sit until she got it. she would sit as if she were glued to the chair. Howie scowled at Ramona as he returned from the cloakroom and said to another boy, "The teacher is going to give her a present." Naturally, the boy wanted to know why. "I don't know," admitted Ramona. "She told me that if I sat here, I would get a present. I guess she likes me best." By the time Miss Binny returned from the cloakroom, word had spread around the classroom that Ramona was going to get a present. Next, Miss Binny taught the class the words of a puzzling song about the Donzerly light, which Ramona did not understand because she did not know what a Donzerzy was. "Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light," sang Miss Binny, and Ramona decided that a donzer was another word for a lamp. When Miss Binny had gone over the song several times, she asked the class to stand and sing it with her. Ramona did not budge. Neither did Howie, and some of the others, and Ramona knew they were hoping for a present too. "Copycats," she thought. "Stand up straight like good Americans," said Miss Binny so firmly that Howie and the others reluctantly stood up. Ramona decided she would have to be a good American sitting down. "Ramona," said Miss Binny, "aren't you going to stand with the rest of us?" Ramona thought quickly. Maybe the question was some kind of test, like a test in a fairy tale. Maybe Miss Binny was testing her to see if she could get her out of her seat. If she failed the test, she would not get the present. "I can't," said Ramona. Miss Binny looked puzzled, but she did not insist that Ramona stand while she led the class through the Donzerzy song. Ramona sang along with the others and hoped that her present came next. But when the song ended, Miss Binny made no mention of the present. Instead, she picked up a book. Ramona decided that at last the time had come to learn to read. Miss Binny stood in front of her class and began to read aloud from Mike Mulligan and his Steam Shovel, a book that was a favorite of Ramona's because, unlike so many books for her age, it was neither quiet and sleepy nor sweet and pretty. Ramona, pretending she was glued to her chair, enjoyed hearing the story again and listened quietly with the rest of the kindergarten to the story of Mike Mulligan's old-fashioned steam shovel, which proved its worth by digging the basement for the new town of Poppersville in a single day, beginning at dawn and ending as the sun went down. As Ramona listened to a question came into her mind, a question that had often puzzled her about the books that were read to her. Somehow, books always left out one of the most important things anyone would want to know. Now that Ramona was in school, and school was a place for learning, perhaps Miss Binny could answer the question. Ramona waited quietly until her teacher had finished the story, and then she raised her hand the way Miss Binny had told the class they should raise their hands when they wanted to speak in school. Joey, who did not remember to raise his hand, spoke out. "That's a good book." Miss Binny smiled at Ramona and said, "I like the way Ramona remembers to raise her hand when she has something to say." "Yes, Ramona?" Ramona hopes soared. Her teacher had smiled at her. "Miss Binny, I want to know, how did Mike Mulligan go to the bathroom when he was digging the basement of the town hall?" Miss Binny's smile seemed to last longer than smiles usually last. Ramona glanced uneasily around and saw that others were waiting with interest for the answer. Everybody wanted to know how Mike Mulligan went to the bathroom. "Well," said Miss Binny at last, "I don't really know, Ramona. The book doesn't tell us." "I always wanted to know too," said Howie, without raising his hand, and others murmured in agreement. The whole class, it seemed, had been wondering how Mike Mulligan went to the bathroom. "Maybe he stopped the steam shovel and climbed out of the hole he was digging and went to a service station," suggested a boy named Eric. "He couldn't. The book says he had to work as fast as he could all day," Howie pointed out. "It doesn't say he stopped." Miss Binny faced the 29 earnest members of the kindergarten, all of whom wanted to know how Mike Mulligan went to the bathroom. "Boys and girls," she began, and spoke in her clear, distinct way, "the reason the book does not tell us how Mike Mulligan went to the bathroom is it is not an important part of the story. The story is about digging the basement of the town hall, and that is what the book tells us." Miss Binny spoke as if this explanation ended the matter, but the kindergarten was not convinced. Ramona knew, and the rest of the class knew, that knowing how to go to the bathroom was important. They were surprised that Miss Binny did not understand, because she had showed them the bathroom the very first thing. Ramona could see there were some things she was going to learn in school, and along with the rest of the class, she started reproachfully at Miss Binny.